Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Savvy Ladies Wednesday Wisdom webinar. My name is Maggie Montemuro, and I'm the marketing coordinator at Savvy Ladies. If you have a question during the presentation, please type it into the chat box. And if you're joining us by phone, you can email your question to info@savvyladies.org. Today's presenter is Heather Markel, founder of Bull Buster Business Coaching, which helps business owners accomplish results and double their profits by developing a marketing strategy aligned to their goals and personality. Heather is a certified professional coach and associate certified coach with over 20 years of marketing, sales, and customer service experience. She also speaks 6 languages and is the founder of the Expat Coach Association and Directory. Thanks for being here with us, Heather, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. So I'm just going to kick us off. So my intention for today is to talk about mainly the 5 keys that, the 5 reasons that keep us from getting the clients and cash we want in our business. And I'm also going to spend a little time talking about how to be more creative in your marketing. I'm going to start us with just a little explanation of what is bull busting, how did I get into that whole thing. And if you have questions during the presentations, please just ask. You can hold them to the end if you like, but also if something is just really burning in your mind, please feel free to ask. I'm happy to be interrupted and field questions. So you already got a little bit of my background. Also, in addition to what was already expressed, I have been a small business owner and certified professional coach for over 10 years. I used to be a board member on the New York chapter of the International Coach Federation, and I'm currently president of a business referral group for the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce. So a lot of what I've done has led me both to have the experience that I bring, but also experience in sort of what it's like not to use myself and be myself in my business versus fully showing up in alignment and integrity in my business. And that's what I want to share with you today. So what is the bull busting mission? Why do I do what I do? Well, several years ago, I became aware that I had been living by some key messaging that I had not been aware of up to that point. And that messaging was that I'm too much and too emotional. Essentially put a "too" before any word, and that would describe me. And I'm hearing sirens, so I'm just going to close my window so it doesn't interfere with us. So essentially, if I wasn't aware of it, and I didn't realize how much I was dulling myself down everywhere. And when I became aware of this messaging, what started to happen is that I looked around myself and realized that I had created a relationship with a partner that really wanted and needed me to play small and be less than I was. And I had also created a business where I was following other people's rules and trying to be like everyone else. And that led me to feel really broken down. I actually, among other things, herniated 2 discs in my neck. I felt really disconnected from myself, and that was the worst part of the experience. And so what I did is I built myself back up. Honesty and integrity became passionate values for me in my business and my life as I reconnected to what I call the old me. Sometimes we look back and we say, oh, when I was younger, I used to be so spontaneous, or whatever your word is. I decided I was still that person and I wanted to get back to being her. And so to do that, I had to end the relationship, which was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. And I also decided to be really bold and put the real me out there in both my life and my business. And so that led me to feel really reconnected with myself and recharged. And I also made the decision to just be me and just accept myself as I was. And that led me to see a piece of this messaging I had missed, which was that when people told me I was too much anything, what they were really saying is that I was too much for them. It didn't mean I was too much, which is in fact what I was getting confused about. It meant that person, for whatever reason, just thought I was too much. Fair enough. So I decided to be who I was, even if I was too much for some people. And as I stepped into that, Now this is the messaging I hear. Most people tell me they love my energy and I crack them up. And I'm like, I'm someone that was teased a great deal as a kid. And, the more you tease me, the more I cried. And at some point I was like, wow, you're laughing. Doesn't matter if it's at me or with me, you're laughing. That's great. So it was a really important development for me in my life that also came up in my business. And I created what I call a bull busting manifesto, and this may be really tiny on your screen. If you go to my website after the call, the www.bustyourbull.com, you can see a larger version there. And what you'll see is that my mission with business owners is not just about helping you increase your profit and get those clients. It's actually on a deeper level about reconnecting my clients to who they are at heart and bringing that out in their business and then into their life. And so you can read about that on my website. So what do I mean by mojo? I think Austin Powers can epitomize that for some of us. There's a dictionary definition I found about it being a power that may seem magical. But in my terms, mojo is really what we effervesce when we do both, basically step into doing what we love and being who we are at the same time. And that really allows us to exude that mojo or passion. And the mojo matrix, right, is that convergence. And it's what we aspire to reach in our business and our lives. So that's what I mean. Now, the first problem I find that we have when we go out there, and whether we're starting a business or we're midstream, we're always concerned about being creative. So how do we be creative or effervesce our mojo in our marketing? So the dilemma is that we all have access to the same marketing channels, whether that's writing or social media or advertising, whatever that might be. It's all the same, right? So we're all going to use the same tools. So we really need to find our own way to use those tools. And in my belief, there are two ways to do that. So the first way is with your personality, because personalities are like snowflakes. There just are no two people that are exactly alike. And if you've ever spent any time with a set of twins from the day they're born, they are usually dramatically different. So that's a really core distinguishing factor in how you distinguish your business from other people that do something similar. It also explains why cookie cutter marketing doesn't work. And if you're not familiar with what I mean by cookie cutter marketing, it's when a guru basically gives you a 10 or a 12-step magic formula to use Facebook or, whatever it is. And I'm someone that I've actually tried to follow those rules. I've paid money and tried to make it work. And I got really frustrated because, that person would make $1 million off these apparent 10 steps, but I never did. So I came to realize that actually I'm not them. I'm so different from them. Why would I even expect their formula that led to their success to be the one that leads me to mine? So I realized how important it was to actually use personality in the way that we market. The other thing is that personality is the way that we inspire the most connection and rapport. So very, very important to be able to be ourselves in our business. The other second piece that's important to being creative in marketing is passion. When we get passionate, the things that tend to happen are that we get more inspired. We get more creative. And when we're more inspired and creative, we're motivated to get stuff done, which is really important. And if you've ever noticed, sometimes you have these random ideas pop into your mind and they feel like they're all over the place. But when you have that key ingredient of passion, all of a sudden you connect dots to these old new ideas in new ways you never thought of. So that's also what happens. But I think one of the core pieces with being, integrating that passion into the marketing is that we allow our heart to do some of the driving. And that also can create really unique, inspirational ideas in the way that you are promoting your business. And so ultimately, we need that passion to motivate us to do our marketing. It's very important. So to use marketing your way, try to lead with what makes you unique in everything you do. And again, that's your personality. And also focus your marketing activities on what you love doing. So instead of trying to do everything, it's really about trying to do the things that fire you up. and try to get known for something original to stand out from other businesses. Now, I happen to have a long affinity with cows from living with a host family as a teenager, where my first, they had a farm, and my first pet was actually a cow. And I came to realize that everyone that who really knew me and loved me just knew and accepted that I loved cows. And ultimately, I brought that out on my website and my branding because it's very connected to me. So think about, what are you connected to, and how can you bring that out in your own business? So this is just to drive the point home, just a silly picture of Angelina Jolie. Try to imagine Angelina Jolie as an accountant. That would make no sense at all because, well, she's an actress. So the problem is that when we try to market in somebody else's formula and use somebody else's way of doing it, we end up looking like this, right? And that's why it's important to market your way. And to drive this home, I want to show you visually. I had so much fun putting this together, kind of my first business website to my current one, what this looks like visually when you do cookie cutter marketing and follow other people's steps, and when you go and boldly step into your own. So my first business was, I was a coach, basically a career coach. My mission was to help anyone that was unhappy at work. And well, who's my target audience? Everybody, pretty much. So how many clients did I get? Nobody, because it was just too general. And what I did here was I essentially went to other coaches' websites and I tried to figure out, well, what tabs do they have on their websites? And I wrote those down. I'm going to make the same tabs. And what kinds of things do they say? Oh, I guess I should say the same stuff. So I basically modeled everything on this website off everybody else's websites. And so it's very generic. I tell you that I do about 55 different things. So it's really confusing to understand exactly how I can help you. And this picture is very important. This picture was taken by my ex, and I was trying to appear professional, again, appear professional. And so I had friends that would look at this picture and say, I don't even recognize you. And I was just so confused because I'm like, but it was a picture that was just taken of me. How do you not recognize me? And the next business I went into was expat coaching. And before I go there, this picture is very important. This is the picture I started using on that next website. And when I went into expat coaching, I went to an international expat conference. And about 6 months before, I became friends with a woman named Judy from another country, not American. And within the first 20 minutes of the conference, I found her and I ran over to her and I said, Judy, it's so great to see you. And I gave her a huge hug. And it was just so bizarre. Her body tensed up, her arms just stayed down at her sides. And I thought, wow, I'm supposed to be a cross-cultural expert. And in the first 20 minutes of this conference, I have completely behaved like an idiot. So I pulled back. And Judy said, I'm so sorry, but based on the picture on your website, I would never have guessed you're this warm. So that's the power of a picture, just a picture. So I went home and I changed it. And so this became the next website. This was the expat coaching, still a bit, it was a template that I, by the way, spent about 60 cumulative hours because I knew Photoshop and Dreamweaver, putting it together myself. Which was time, of course, away from working with clients. Not brilliant, but better picture and a lot more related to who I was. So when I moved away from this business, I then moved into the bull busting, which originally was called the Bull Buster Cafe. And then everybody would ask me whether it was a restaurant, which is why I updated the name. So this was the first version of it. So it was more fun. People would definitely come here and laugh. The problem was, as I came to realize a bit into it, was that I was hiding behind the bull, right? I'm not really present anywhere on the top. And, there wasn't a lot of thought given to the colors and so forth. And so I moved it to where it is now, thinking about the key colors I felt were important in my brand, and what is really the message with busting the bull, and what is the imaging that goes along with that. And there's going to be more updates, but really to show you the difference between starting out on the left by following everyone else's rules, and on the right, going and really boldly stepping into representing my personality on screen. So that was a huge, huge lesson for me. So that's how you can be more creative in your marketing. So before I move on to the next piece, are there any questions?
Yes, we had a question that come in which reads, I'm working on letting my personality show through in my marketing, but I really haven't noticed any change in social media followers or profit. So how can I turn this into more clients?
So that's a great question. I would need more background information, but a few things that come to mind is I don't know where you are in your business. If you're just starting out and your main goal is to get clients immediately, in my experience, just relying on social media is not the best way to get those clients. Being out face to face and doing calling and things like that and getting those clients in will be a more effective strategy than the social media for the moment. Now, if you're someone that's been doing the social media for a while, again, I haven't seen your posts, so I don't know what they look like. What I'm finding as a shift in strategy lately, for example, the Facebook business page or fan page is kind of getting less traction. What's getting more traction is on your personal page, people wanting to connect with you as a human being and you actually being who you are and not necessarily just sharing business tips, but maybe actually just being, real life. And I'm not talking about your breakfast. I think we're still not necessarily all interested in that, but I am saying, I once in a while post my random thoughts on my Facebook page, and I get a lot of people, jumping in and kind of wanting to have a conversation about this random thought, which is really fun. So what's something that's really you that you can write and just be yourself on your Facebook, for example. Also groups, I'm finding Facebook groups, even better than LinkedIn groups now. Like, again, it depends on who your market is. I'm really being very generic. But a Facebook group that you can create and invite people into where you can demonstrate your expertise is also more powerful to me than the Facebook fan page at the moment. So I don't know if that answers the question, but whoever that was, you're going to get my contact information at the end, and I would welcome talking to you and trying to help you further.
Okay, that was the one question we had for now, and I will ask you more as they come through.
Great, thank you. All right, so moving right along, the second problem we encounter is you might be in that feeling where, gosh, I'm doing a lot of marketing. I'm doing lots of stuff. I've tried the social media. I've tried all this stuff. Why am I not getting clients in cash when I'm doing this? So that's what I want to dive into. So when we start marketing our business, whether or not you're focused on personality and passion, there's a lot of bull that comes up. Bull for me is I playfully actually represent the bull with bulls, but it's all of the thoughts, the fears, and the actions that are killing our success. So that's what's represented by each image. So I'm going to show you what they are, and then I'm going to give you some tips to transform the bull into new action. And as you see each one, think about how they're impacting your own business. And, feel free to ask questions or share your own experiences with any of them that drive you the most crazy. So the first bull I'm going to talk about is sales bull, right? The reason that sales bull kills your profit is that, you're thinking things like selling is manipulative and evil. People just don't like being sold to. I'm just not going to do it. Phone calls are intrusive, so I'm just going to use email. Or my favorite is, no, I just get referrals, so I just wait for those to come and fall into my lap. It's just nicer that way. So these are the typical thoughts and actions that are represented in sales bull. So why you're not getting clients? Well, because first off, if you're a business owner, you need to accept that we're all salespeople. We are all in sales. We wear multiple hats, and one of them is sales. Sales is simply at the root of finding your clients. And so if you're not selling, then you're probably not getting many clients. Also, if you're not getting the clients, think about how often you actually ask someone to work with you. A lot of people will complain. They go to tons of networking events. If you have a strategy session or something, you do a lot of them, but you're not actually closing because you don't, at the end of a conversation, ask someone to work with you. And I know it sounds kind of obvious, but if you really think about that, how many times do you actually say to someone, I would love to work with you. Would you love to work with me? Because that's key. Now, If you don't sell or you refuse to and you don't want to, then I totally get it. But in that case, I would suggest that you just start referring to what you do as a hobby, because it is a difference, right? A hobby owner doesn't have to sell. It's just like, I actually have a side business making handbags and jewelry, which is fun. I don't go out there and aggressively market it. I consider it a hobby. I do it when I have time, and I don't want to do it more than that. So it's a hobby. My main coaching business is my business, right? So I sell for that. So it's very important. So, other reasons you're not getting clients. If you're relying on email, I just did this workshop live a couple weeks ago, and I asked everyone in the room to please raise their hand. So think about this. Please raise your hand if you have an email account, right? They all raised their hand. Then I said, keep your hand raised if you have more than one email account. Every hand stayed raised. And then I said, please keep your hand raised only if you read every email in every email account. And every hand went down. So the fact is that these days people have multiple email accounts. They aren't reading all of their messages. And unfortunately, we're just not the biggest priority in their lives. So if we're relying on just email to reach people, then it's just not as effective as picking up the phone. So the excuses you're making to not pick up the phone are actually keeping you from converting people into clients. Also, referrals. I love referrals. They're my favorite. However, they don't actually happen until you have clients, and not just one or two clients, but multiples of clients. And your clients have to be happy clients to refer you. And even if you have all of that in place, unfortunately, those clients are busy too, and they're probably out selling their own business. So you have to do something to remind them of you once in a while and encourage them to refer you. So that's why referrals on their own don't always work. So crucial key number one to write down is that sales is about being of service and making people happy. Again, sales is about being of service and making people happy. So the fundamental ways to shift your mindset on Sales Bowl is that when you sell to someone, remember that you're giving them information that can help them to tackle a problem, right? So instead of thinking of sales as the used car salesman, think of yourself as a problem solver and make it your mission to understand the problem on that table and offer a solution. So, when you put that solution out, ask them for feedback. Say, hey, I just gave you an idea. Did you like that? If they don't, give them something else or find out why they didn't like it. What else do they need? Give as much value as you can and make it more important that the person you're talking to walks away happy than that they walk away as your client, because the energy of a conversation changes dynamically when you're focused on their happiness and the value you're giving than waiting to that moment that you can actually launch in with the sale, which is something totally different. And the core piece to remember here is that you need to be a service person, not a salesperson. And if you think a little bit about when you have a bad day, who are the people that you call? It might be your parents, it might be your friends, it might be a spouse. Why do you call that person? Probably because they make you feel heard and understood, right? So be that person, be the person that hears and understands for your prospects. Putting this together into strategies, think about how can you be of service to a prospect that's on your list right now. You might want to find an accountability partner and challenge each other to make maybe 10 service calls in the next week, and find out, did you do it? And then keep pushing each other to make those calls. A great place to start is with people you already know, right? Friends, colleagues, past clients. So pick up the phone and call them. It's easier to call someone you know and that you know likes you. And then think about creative ways to let people know about your services. So sometimes there are people that were not always comfortable with that direct ask. Well, there's other ways to ask for business, right? Brochures, advertising, or maybe you can mail a prospect something really neat and creative so that when they get your email or your call, they're delighted to hear from you. So this is just an example of Marion was one of my clients who was viscerally disgusted with selling. It was almost funny how she was really, really not going to sell. And I said to her, great, so since you're not selling, how many clients are you getting? And she said, none. And I said, great, would you like clients? And she said, well, of course. So one of the things we did with her was that Marion had a lot of workshops she did. And we helped her step into a way to give information about what she did for her clients at the end of her workshops so that she could have a seamless conversation with people that was just about the information, and not so much about here, here's my packages, you should go do one. Which one do you want to do? Which was what she had envisioned sales to be. So moving on to bull number 2, that would be perfection bull. It's kind of got a double edge, right? Perception and perfection. And the typical fears here are that if I show my personality in my marketing, I will scare people, right? If I show my cows and bulls, I was told they were, unprofessional, right? If I show them, people are going to think I'm unprofessional. If I give my real opinion, I might make people angry. So instead, let me just please everyone, since I'm not going to be accepted for the real me. And one of the comments I've heard before is that, I can't launch my website until it's perfect, that perfection bull. And when I've asked a couple people, well, great, how long have you been working on the website? And in some cases, they've been working on a website for years. And so they haven't been able to publish it because they just haven't considered it perfect yet. So the sad thing about perfection and perfection bull is that it is paralyzing. It gives you the excuse to do nothing because perfection doesn't really exist and you'll actually never obtain it. So therefore, you're just going to stay stuck in struggle and frustration. The other thing to remember is when you're not putting the real you out there, if you've ever been around other people who feel like they're hiding something, you might not know what they're hiding, but you do know that you're uncomfortable around them. When we are uncomfortable around someone, we are less likely to buy from them. So better to be yourself, and let the right people buy from you. The other thing is, sometimes we're doing a business that we're actually not really excited about. And so if you look or sound bored, you come across as unexciting and uninspiring. I've actually had numerous conversations with people that tell me what they do. And, playfully, I'm like, wow, do you actually like doing what you're doing? Because you look kind of unhappy. And we end up having a great discussion about what they'd rather be doing and then how they can integrate that into what they're already doing. The other thing is that if you don't authentically represent yourself, people will not be uncomfortable. They will be uncomfortable around you, and then lending to what I just said, less likely to buy from you. So perceptionable is what leads you to be boring versus being yourself. So again, just driving this home again, this is the fear that people are going to think that I'm unprofessional will lead me to use a different photo, not really looking like me. I actually, no joke, I did not know I had curly hair till like 2 years ago. So, really like put yourself out there on the page, be bold, think about the colors that represent you, and think about just doing it your way and putting stuff out there that some people might not approve of, but it represents you. So crucial key number 2 to remember to get more clients and cash is that you must be authentic and excited about what you do. So be authentic and excited about what you do. So here the mindset shift is about you need to stop trying to please everyone and be okay with the right people showing up and the wrong ones moving along. Look at my own branding. There are plenty of people that come to my site and get complete. I'm just not for them, which is great because now we don't waste each other's time. And the ones that do come to my site and do resonate with it end up being, great conversations and great clients. The other thing to remember is that no matter what you do and what you say, whether you try to please every single person on the planet, you're going to be judged. And no matter what you do, some people will like you and some people won't. So knowing that, I find this like really freeing. You might as well just be yourself, because even if you try not to be yourself, some people aren't going to like you. And again, I mentioned that I was told that showing all of my cows and bulls was super unprofessional. I hid them on all of my previous websites, and now I lead with them. And ironically, I get more clients now than ever before because, as I have already said, people can quickly understand whether, I'm a strong yes for them or a strong no. And that is better for all of us. So I encourage you to do that in your own business. Also realize, as I said earlier, perfection doesn't exist. If you think of a website, even the big players, Apple, MSN, et cetera, like every few months they update their websites. Lots of stuff changes. We're basically in this constant state of imperfection. So if you're one of the people that is holding off the publication of your website, put it up there. You've already seen mine. I already changed it once. I'm already going to change it again, but I keep it up there. Who cares? You know what I mean? It'll keep changing. So The other thing about when you make the choice, if you've been not showing who you are in your business or your marketing, remember that our flaws are often the greatest point of connection with our target market. And I mentioned here, it's actually, I typed this earlier. I mentioned that we all get busted for typos, which is something else. And I made one and I asked Maggie to correct it right before this webinar. So, but seriously, your flaws, we're just not perfect. So when we put our imperfection out there, it kind of gives people permission to also feel like they can do something because they've seen themselves in you. So I encourage you to just lead with being you. So success strategies. Think about in your marketing, what are you not doing? There's probably at least one or two things that you've been putting off. You're like, oh, maybe I should try that, but I haven't. And try to do those activities. I actually used to shy away from doing workshops. I just refused. I came up with all kinds of excuses and finally did, and so I've been doing workshops for a while now. They're a lot of fun. I meet a lot of great people. And when you push yourself to do things that you haven't done before, you get to test your boundaries and your limits and grow and meet more clients. So I encourage you to do things that you haven't done before. It's a great place to start. So third bull, and by the way, I'm just checking on any questions that have come in.
We don't have any yet, but I'm sure we will as you move along.
Great. Okay. There's space for them at the end, so just checking. Third bull is productivity bull. The typical fears here are basically the feeling that if I don't do everything possible, I'm either lazy or a failure. I've got to use every marketing channel possible because I want to be everywhere. So I'm just going to make a list of the 25 different channels and I'm going to make sure to hit all of them. There's certain marketing activities I'm doing because everyone just told me to. Everyone else is doing it, so I figure I better do it too. So that's a lot of what feeds productivity bull. So why you're not getting clients if you have productivity bull is that your strategy is to do everything. And so you actually accomplish very little because you have too much to do. And too much of your marketing has absolutely zero connection to your 60-day goals. Maybe you're writing a book, great. And a book is great for getting clients when it's published, which means, if you take a year to write it, takes 2 years to get published. Well, that's a 3-year plan. That's got no connection to a 60-day goal. The other reason you might not be getting clients is when you go to networking events, you may be that guy. And what I refer to as that guy is you think that, and unfortunately, this is no joke. I've just experienced this year. You think a networking event is like a newspaper route, and you actually just walk up to everyone there, make sure everyone gets your card in their hand, you get their card, and then walk away. And by the way, you now have a stack of cards, and eventually you'll follow up. Or so you're not actually following up, or you think follow up is just to add them to your newsletter. So those are reasons that you're not getting the clients. Again, you're not asking for the business, you're not asking to have a meeting, etc. The other reason productivity bull will kill your business is that you've got a lot to do. And you really need to hire someone to help you to take that admin work off your plate. But since you haven't, you have lots of prospects that probably would love to work with you, but unfortunately you'll never get to them because you got to set up your newsletter, you got to figure out what system to use, what to write, and your blog post, and etc. So you don't even email them back or call them and so forth. So this will keep you from getting clients. So crucial key number 3 to write down is that doing the right marketing is much more important than doing it all. Doing the right marketing is more important than doing it all. So to shift your mindset here, this is where your goals and your personality are key. This is what I do with my clients. Your marketing activity has got to align to both. And you have to understand your current business goals. That's where I mentioned earlier, a 60-day plan, because your goals and your activities are going to change frequently. If your goals change, the way you meet them has to change too. You also need to be honest with yourself about what you enjoy to create the right marketing strategy. For example, if you're someone, just a random example, if you're introverted and you don't like being around people and you tend to sort of like cower, probably a live workshop might not be the best way for you to get clients. Maybe a teleseminar is better for you, for example. Other ways to change your mindset is to focus on the tools that get you where you want to be and do it in a way that honors who you are. And it really turns out oftentimes that doing less gets you more business. This is another of my clients, Jill. She's wonderful. She came to me, she had one client. She was really frustrated. She's extremely motivated, and she's definitely got everything it takes to be really successful. And when she came to me, she was writing her book and developing a program. And she was paying a social media person to do all of her social media. And it had been about 3 months that she was paying that person. And I said, Jill, that's great. How many clients are you getting with the social media? And she was like, none. And I said, well, how about this? How about you save the money on the social media person, work with me, and then you can hire them back afterwards. So we worked together for 6 months, and at the end of 6 months, she went from 1 client to 9 clients. And I just spoke to her actually this week, and she now has, I think, 11 clients with a few other prospects hanging out. So this was about reconnecting her, taking her away from the activities that were keeping her away from getting clients and focusing her in on the ones that would grow her business. So that's how important it is to do the right marketing. So success strategies for you. Think about your immediate goals for the next 2 weeks. Make it a short time frame. And think about just one marketing activity that you love. And do just that one activity for the next 2 weeks. Don't do anything else but that activity, whatever you choose, and see what happens. See how much further you can get, focusing in on a specific channel to get that work done. So bull number 4, moving on, is time bull. Time bull is very much related to productivity bull. When you're doing lots of stuff, you end up not having lots of time. And you might be thinking, food, oh yeah, my stomach is rumbling. Let me just put something in that stomach to get it to stop rumbling. Clients and responsibilities run your life. And, at this point, the gym, seeing friends, sleep, all of that sounds really great. But unfortunately, you don't have the time because you've got too many responsibilities. So that's the kind of thought process that goes along with time bull. So why you're not getting clients is because, well, when you're so focused on working in your business like this, it becomes like a corporate job. And you're basically sucking the joy out of your business. You're ruining your health. Your friends and family are getting really upset about hearing all your excuses, and you're damaging those relationships. Furthermore, most important perhaps is that you are making your clients really worried, because if you can't take care of yourself, they start wondering, how can you take care of them? Because at the end of the day, when you've got this time bull, you end up looking awful, right? You're tired, you're not getting the sleep, you're low energy. When you finally, do talk to people, if you ever noticed you've met somebody in a networking conversation and all they talk about is how busy they are and they're so tired and they're making all their excuses and rambling on, right? It's a turnoff. People don't want to work with us when we go into this drama of what's happening and, how busy we are. And since we're so busy, we also, instead of meeting deadlines, we end up doing a lot of apologizing for missing them. And, I don't know about you, but I certainly get worried about referring my clients to someone that is too busy to email or call me back. So, it's important to think about the impact you're giving off with all of this busyness. The other thing is you might be isolating yourself. And so when you finally do talk to someone, isolating yourself again, because you haven't hired anyone to help you, you're behind the computer a lot. And when you finally do go to an event, you come across as desperate and kind of business like dating, right? We feel less comfortable working with someone that seems really desperate for that connection. So these are some core reasons why you're not getting clients. So crucial key number 4 to write down is that you must take care of yourself, both to get and to keep clients. And that's really important. It's not just about getting your clients, you want to keep your clients. So you must take care of yourself to get and keep clients. So the mindset shift here is to remember that you are a creator, not a victim. So you set the expectations of your clients, and you should start that expectation right away. If you don't want to work 24/7, tell your clients you aren't available on weekends, for example. Make sure that you tell them so they understand right away what is the time frame that they should expect to hear back from you. Take days off and vacations. Miraculously, it turns out that if you plan them in advance and let your clients know, they tend to survive. It's pretty cool. And an online scheduling tool has really made a difference in my business. I highly recommend it. It's a way for you to kind of carve out specific days and times that you're always available, so that you don't end up giving away your entire schedule and then, wondering why you're so busy. And finally, if you hire an assistant to work while you're gone, wow, that also makes things run a lot more smoothly. So to put this all together, remember, it is wonderful to love what you're doing and to work hard for it, but you want to sustain that and you want to stay fulfilled. So you really need to have a routine for self-care. So I encourage you to think about, what do you love doing besides your work? And who are like the 5 people that you just cannot bear to live without? And remembering that you're the god of your schedule, where do you want to make time for these activities you love and exercise and time with your friends and family? Put it on your schedule if that's the only way to make it happen. And I suggest that you make a schedule, for the next 4 weeks where you actually book this in. Because if you don't consciously book that time into your schedule, it may not happen. So the final bowl, and this is one of the biggest bowls there is money bowl. My clients that have money bowl tend to think about, things like, oh, I worry that I don't have enough money. And they're really steeped in the lack of money, and they're concerned that they're not going to make enough to provide for themselves. They're afraid to raise prices, right? Because you might not be sure that people value you or your service. Somehow there's a connection that gets made between you not valuing yourself and what you do highly. You might think investing in yourself is just too expensive. And why would you buy a tool for your business when you can just do everything yourself, right? I can save money and do it myself. I mentioned earlier my expat coach website. Well, I had Photoshop and Dreamweaver. I thought I was a genius, saving myself thousands of dollars doing it myself. Nope. Turns out that, like I said, I spent 60 cumulative hours. I didn't sit down for like 3 days and knock it out. I spent 60 hours over months putting that together. That was all time taken away from networking and meeting potential clients. So not the best move. So if you have money bowl, the reason you're not getting clients is that, well, you're not investing in yourself. And you probably don't have the right support group. It's really important as a business owner to surround yourself with other business owners like you, and really important, some of them need to have more experience and knowledge than you do so that you can learn from them and be able to have a trusted network that you can share a down day with, and and ask for feedback on how can you turn that day around. Also, trying to do everything yourself and alone is just not helping you grow as a business owner. The other things that come up here is that, you ever notice when we have money bowl, we don't always state our prices with full confidence. You can have a great connection with somebody and you're actually quite interested in their service or product, but then when it gets to the pricing, they seem so uncomfortable with it that you begin to worry that there isn't as much value as you thought in what they're offering. So really fully embodying your pricing is really important. And unfortunately, like I said earlier, sometimes our pricing gets confused with our self-worth. You also, in this model, you tend to negotiate your rates. So maybe you state your rates okay, you waffle a little bit, the person begins to doubt that they should pay that much. So what do? They ask if they can pay less, and you say yes. And that's what contributes to you not making that, if you want that magic $10,000 a month that everyone seems to want, it's hard to get there when you keep bargaining down your prices. And that just shows that you don't know or believe in your value. Also, you might be so focused on the money that you're not making that you haven't created a dedicated savings plan, which is really important. You think it's too expensive to hire help, so you don't do it. And again, that not hiring that help is contributing to the time bowl, which is taking you away from getting those clients. And because you're so focused on the money out, you're just too afraid to make some of these investments. So this is really important. Crucial key number 5 is that value is more important than money. And increasing your value means that you need to invest in yourself. So value is more important than money. To increase your value, you need to you have to invest in yourself. So what I'm talking about here there are 2 types of value: the value that you offer, and the value of investing in yourself. So it's 2 ways, and they're both important. So when you focus on value, you overcome Moneyball. When you buy something, it means you're buying into how a product or service will make your life easier and happier. And when you're selling the results or the outcome. So quick example to help you do that. If I were a gym trainer and you wanted to hire me to lose weight, here's the difference. If I pitch you and I say, hey, come work with me, you will just love working with me. We're going to work together for 10 weeks and I'm going to have you come to my gym. And all you have to do is take a subway and a bus and a cab. Take about 3 hours or so to get to me. And when you get here, I'm going to greet you with a 10-pound weight in your left hand and a 10-pound weight in your right hand. I'm going to have you lift those weights up over your head and then pull them down and then lift them back up over your head and back down. And then I'm going to throw in some squats for an hour. You're going to be lifting all these weights for an hour. And it's going to be so much fun. Would you like to work with me? Okay, probably not. So what if I said, I'm a gym trainer. I would love you to work with me to basically get the results that you want. At the end of 10 weeks, here's the typical result. My clients end up dropping 2 dress sizes. By the way, you mentioned that you didn't really like your wardrobe. That's great because you're going to have to buy a new one because you're just going to be thinner. Also, you wanted to meet the man of your dreams. Well, you're not going to be able to fend off all your admirers. Actually, you will, because I'm going to pump up your arms and you will be able to protect yourself too, which is great from the ones you don't like, but you're going to have a lot of selection available and you're going to feel wonderful and look wonderful. How does that sound? So that's the difference between selling somebody on, the features versus the benefits of what you do. And also remember, people will buy you even more than your service or product because we're seeking connection. For those that might have been here during the Sandy storm, I don't know if this ever happens to you, but I was lonely. Like I couldn't see my friends because there was no transportation. And I went to Lord & Taylor and honestly, I went to a makeup counter I had no intention to buy anything, but the lady at the makeup counter ended up talking to me for an hour and a half. And she did my makeup. I mean, there's hardly anyone there. And she was so nice to me that I bought $150 of makeup I didn't really need. And I've been going back to her for years just because of that connection more than anything else. And there may be better makeup artists out there. I don't know, but I like her and I buy her more than I buy the makeup. So again, really important to remember that this is, again, fully embodying who we are so we can provide the connection that allows the right people to show up and be our clients. So here's how to shift your mindset. You know what? When you put skin in the game, it ups your game, because one of the key things that we don't think about till we do that is all of the objections and anxieties we have about investing in ourselves are the same objections and anxieties that our clients have. So for you to experience that helps you understand what a prospect is going through and helps you actually be a more compassionate and a better salesperson and a better business person as well. The other things to remember is that if you don't have a savings plan, as soon as we hang up, please go open one. And if you do have one, but you're not making weekly or monthly auto deposits in, I strongly suggest that you do that. Use some of that money on yourself as well, not all of it, but $10 a week is $40 a month. And at the end of the year, that's about almost $500 in a year. It builds up, and $10 a week isn't that much, but it's something. You might even be able to do 20, right? So that's almost $1,000 in a year. It builds up. So put that money aside for yourself so that actually, instead of focusing on lack, you can look at the growing money that you've built up and feel like you can actually get a massage or eat a nice dinner or go out with some friends because you've saved that money. So the other thing is hire people, hire help. A lot of us, when we think about hiring an assistant, we go right into money mode. There's plenty of interns, high school and college interns, that are either free or very low fee. They get real business experience from you, so they really want to do it. And you pay them, a lot less than you might think. So, and it gets you the admin work off your plate and some processes built that can support your business. Remember that you need to focus on showing your value, not on updating your website, your accounting, doing your design work. So get yourself in a position where someone can help you do the back office stuff so you can be out there meeting the people that need to work with you. So for you, the success strategies I'd recommend are to think about, where does who and how you are make you unique in your industry? And how is this of value to the people that you serve so that you can lead with your value instead of the cost? And what are two areas that you maybe haven't invested in yourself at all that you've been meaning to? Or where have you invested in yourself in one of those areas, but you've put down like less than $100 and haven't really gotten much results? Maybe think about stepping up that investment. Think about something. What is something you really, really want for your business or your life right now? How badly do you really, really want it? And if investing in yourself led you to be happier, meet the love of your life, triple your profits, drop 2 dress sizes, whatever it is, what investment are you willing to make for that? And now, when you have that number, think about if you offered that service. Would you charge them the amount that you just came up with? Very important. There's a lot of learning in that, and churning that around, looking at what are you willing to pay and what would you think you are worth being paid for that same service. So just a reminder of the 5 crucial keys that we covered today to getting more clients in cash is that sales is about being of service and making people happy. You need to be authentic and excited about what you do. Doing the right marketing is so much more important than doing it all. You must take care of yourself to get and keep clients. And value is more important than money. So increasing your value requires investing in yourself. And so now we get to the final problem, which is great. So we figured out how to be creative. We've looked at why I'm not getting the clients and the cash. How do you figure out which strategy and activities that you individually should focus on? And that's somewhere that I can help you. And my typical client outcomes are that people get much more focused. It's not only they generate more clients, they actually set up a momentum to continue generating those clients. They end up less stressed, they take care of themselves, and they have more fun. And so my invitation to you is that I have 2 of them. I offer a strategy session, and as an attendee of this webinar, usually those sessions are 30 minutes. I will give you more time. It is totally complimentary. All I ask is that you fill out a questionnaire in advance. The URL is here. It's bit.ly/BB strategy session. Hopefully you can see that on the slide here. And the other thing is that I offer free business building tips, which you can pick up at bit.ly/bullbuster. And to the person that asked the question earlier, and anyone else, I invite you as well. If you have questions, please feel free to just email me at heather@bustyourbull.com. I would be happy to answer them. And also, if you do sign up for the business building tips, I give you a quiz to help you figure out which bull is busting your business, because we covered the top 5, but there's a lot more of them. So you'll meet the rest of the herd, have a lot of fun, and get an introduction to more of what I do. So at this point, I'm happy to field any questions that have come in.
Thanks, Heather. That was really informative and so great. The first question that came in is regarding pricing. I have a new client who paid my usual hourly fee for a short session. She would like to hire me for a weekly gig, but asked for a lower hourly rate. If I lower my hourly rate, does this change how she perceives my value? So what to do, make a deal or stick to my guns, offer a package? I know you've covered this, but I would like to add a regular client.
Yeah, great. First off, it would be awesome if you want to do a strategy session with me, because I'd love to plow into this. Because the first thing that I would say is a lot of us, I don't know if you're a coach, but a lot of us, unfortunately, we get the training as a coach, which is fabulous. And then we get left with this idea that we should charge by the hour. And essentially the magic number is $500 a month for 2 sessions. And we get put into this belief that we should charge for our time. And unfortunately, doing that is a very difficult way to build your business. So I would encourage you actually to just do packages. Don't break it down by hour, because at the end of the day, you offer so much more than your time. Also, if you think about it, your 1 hour of time with a client isn't truly representative. So you just said, should I lower my hourly rate? Well, the thing is, your hour with her or him, before you meet, you've probably done some prep work. And after your session is over, you're probably also doing some follow-up work. So it's not really an hour. That's why it doesn't make sense to charge by the hour, because an hour is fictitious. So my my advice would be to definitely step into a package, but I need to know a little bit more information to help you make the right package and be able to sell it. And it may be that with this client, because you're already in relationship, you do something special, but then you from learning from this client create a whole new model that everyone else will be living by next and help you make more profit.
Okay, thank you. And another question that came in is, what did you do to become okay with those people who know strongly that they do not want to work with you? I'm having trouble not taking it personally and moving on from it.
Yeah, that is such a great question. Honestly, it was probably an evolution, probably some therapy too. But you know, when I was an expat coach, I met a lot of people that would tell me that, you know, they found what I did really interesting. And they had just never met anybody else that did that. And I felt like I got a lukewarm interest. You know what I mean? Everybody was interested, mildly interested in what I did. Didn't really convert a lot of people into clients. So when I took a stand and went into the bull busting full out and just accepted, you know, people not resonating with it, what happened was I noticed that creating the dynamic where people would powerfully, it wasn't anymore like, oh, that sounds interesting. It was like, oh my God, I love what you do. You're so funny, or whatever it was. Very different energy. And it led more people to work with me. I've actually, I think I've decided, I've come to a place where I enjoy working with clients that I love working with, where there's a great energy between us, and you know, we both work well together and we both inspire each other. And I think I've tried to work with enough people that I tried to please rather than acknowledge it wasn't a fit, and come away feeling tired, exhausted, depressed, like I could never get it right. And I just realized I didn't want to work with people that didn't resonate with me anymore. So I just decided that I guess the other thing is when the people, I guess we could kind of call it reject us or make us feel rejected. I've stepped into this. I get rejected all the time, by the way, even now. So I love rejection in a way because it helps me learn. So after I kind of go like, oh, wow, you know, maybe I'll spend an hour a day being like bummed out. And then I'm like, wait a second, what did this teach me? Whatever it is I'm thinking about this person, how am I being this person in my business or my life? Let me do a check and make sure that, you know, again, honesty and integrity. Where do I need to check my integrity and shift? So that's what I've stepped into, is that the people that don't resonate with me, I've come to think of as teachers, to help me learn about how I might need to shift myself, or you know, just accept that this kind of person is not my target market, and how grateful I am that we don't need to waste each other's time. So I hope that helps.
Yes, yes, it does. Thanks again, Heather. I think we're about out of time, but I want to thank you for the complimentary strategy session offer to everyone who joined us.
Sure.
And thank you so much for such a great presentation. Thanks to everyone who joined us today and asked questions. We hope we'll see you again. And thanks again, Heather.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day.